Welcome to BW Healthcare World. In our series to understand how the industry has performed in year 2022 and what is it that we're expecting as trends in 2023, we have with us Dr. Mahipal Sachdev, who's an Indian ophthalmologist and the chairman of the Center for Sight, a chain of eye hospitals in India. Welcome, Dr. Mahipal Sachdev. 2022 has been a classic year because this is the first year after passing away of the COVID that we got back to business. And so, what were the few things that defined 2022 for the eye care segment? How was the sector? How is the sector growing? And what have we observed in the past 12 months?
Okay, thank you very much for having me here. And regarding 2022, actually, if you look at the financial year 2022, it started on a bad note because there was a spillover of COVID. Because in March, April, I would say, and a little bit of May, actually, April and May were reasonable washouts. And specifically to your question as regards ophthalmology, because ophthalmology has lot many elective surgeries which are not emergencies. So therefore, and also because we take care of the elderly, because cataract being the most commonly performed surgeries that we do. And obviously COVID was giving rise to higher morbidity and mortality among the aged. So that did lead to kind of the patients being pushed back from getting their surgeries done. But I think the eye care segment was highly resilient. And obviously, all that had happened was that the surgeries got lumped up together in the coming months. So overall, what I would say is that it was just a redistribution of the surgical workload which was there. Along with that, specific to ophthalmology, I think COVID has brought about a lot of people working online. And there have been reasonable studies also which have been done and which have shown that the incidence of myopia has increased in the population per se, specifically in the children, because they were used to even classes being held online. And as we all know that the eye is made for distance vision. And if you keep on constantly looking for near work, then there is a myopic tendency for people to increase the myopia. The other important thing that we have seen is that not specific to eye care, but overall, I would say that people have started to think about healthcare. And I think the penetration of insurance has increased. And more people are going in for managed care. The fourth important thing that has happened is that I think from a perspective of the overall looking at I would say a kind of a semi-tech bust, because there was a tech thing which everybody was talking about. I think private equity as also other people are looking at healthcare to be a service where the number of people who will go towards managed healthcare and therefore corporatization or therefore bigger institutions coming up would be invested upon by people. So I think the money flow that is there into healthcare has increased, though I think it is still not to the level that India should have. And managed care has increased. People have started thinking about healthcare, as also they are willing to spend more on healthcare and go in, whereas I have seen over time that the premium procedures have increased, where people are willing to now spend rather than buy maybe a luxury bag or anything, or a shirt or a suit. They are also willing to spend on their healthcare. So these are a couple of things that have happened. Technology has come in eye care over the last 1 to 2 years, thick and fast. And I think the telemedicine bit or the teleophthalmology bit has also got developed. There has been an impetus and the COVID has worked as a catalyst for increasing the teleophthalmology penetration that is there. So overall, I would say resilient eye care growth has been there, at least in our organization. We are looking at in this financial year a growth which could be north of 25-30%. So overall, I think things are recovered totally. I don't know what is there in store over the next couple of months with the COVID coming back, but overall, there has been a significant resilience, a little bit of restructuring. There is a lot of consolidation that is happening in eye care. And there are a lot of people who don't have follow-ups as their children in the practice, because almost anybody in ophthalmology would set up their own practice a couple of years ago. And now they are thinking of mergers, and the actually in the entire healthcare consolidation is happening, and mergers and acquisitions are really taking shape, and the same thing is happening in ophthalmology.
In fact, that is my next question, that, we know what has happened in 2022, and it's encouraging to know that, we have kind of recovered from the downturn that we had seen during COVID. And in fact, what I hear from you is that it's not just recovered, but it is growing.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, that the premium services are on the rise. But what are some of the trends that we see or expect to see in 2023 in the field of ophthalmology, in terms of the industry size, the growth that we expect, the advancements that we see in technology? Do you see more players coming in, or do you see more of a consolidation to continue?
See, let's just break it up into a couple of things. The first thing is, as regards technology, I think technology is one thing that has really come in thick and fast in ophthalmology, and lasers being one of the leaders in that, because see, the eye, if we have to look at the different parts within the eye, you can visualize almost everything. So it's not hidden under the abdomen or something like that. So basically, you can actually visualize the entire eye, and there are specific targeted treatments that you can do. And since it's a microsurgery, then the things have become very micro-invasive only. That means that even if you have to do an invasion, it has to be a very micro-invasive, sutureless surgeries, etc. Those are happening. So that's basically tech-based. The second thing that is happening within the technology framework is that there are targeted pharmaceutical products which are coming, nanoparticles, etc., which are improving the drug delivery. Like you get a cataract surgery, you have to put medicines for 5-6 weeks. So there could be, at the time of surgery, you just put an Occlusert or something within the eye, which is going to slowly release the medicines, and you don't need to really keep on putting the drops, etc. So targeted therapy, genomics, and technology, I think these are the big advances that are happening. And optics and eye care are also, they have merged right from the beginning, but there is a lot of work also in the optics, for example, the intraocular lenses that we have and those kind of things. So we would see that there is going to be a continuum of these research methodologies that will come to fruition over the next couple of years. And these are the things which are going to alter the outcomes and make them much more precise and much more accurate, as also much more I would say gratifying for both the patient and the surgeon. That is one part of it. The second part that you're talking about is that whether I see new players coming in or whether I see consolidation happening. I think it will be a combination of both, but more towards the consolidation, or more money coming into people who have been able to establish a model. Eye care per se as a model has been established to be standalone centers, not part of a multi-specialty hospital. And there are groups which have been able to establish that they are able to achieve break-evens within 18 to 24 to 30 months, which is a low gestation kind of a thing. If you look at otherwise the healthcare services, they're being an asset-light model. Brands are playing out now. For the general public, brands are playing out, and they would prefer to go to a place where you could have almost everything under the roof. Whether it be a hub and spoke model or whatever it is, because the barrier to entry for a normal person has gone up. For a individual to put up a center which has almost everything, the latest in technology, it might be 14 to 20 crores that is required without the building and the land. So that's becoming slightly an issue. And you have had big private equity players invest into ophthalmology, the likes of TPG, Temasek, General Atlantic, Kadara, Mahindra having invested. So there are I would say the barrier to entry having gone up. I think new players would be obviously coming up in areas where possibly it is underserved as regards ophthalmology, or within metros also one can see. But ultimately, I think there will be a significant consolidation. If you look at the example of China, there is a group called IR, which does about 10 to 15% of the entire ophthalmology of China. So that could be the kind of market size that you're looking. I think they have a valuation of close to 30 billion US in the listed stock market. So that's the kind of consolidation or the figures or the amount of surgery or the number of patients that are available. India being the maximum number of cataracts that we do, diabetic capital, diabetic retinopathy, blindness, etc. So that's the thing. So I would personally feel that there is going to be more consolidation. Practices are going to become more brand conscious, having more technology acquisition, and giving better care to the patients.
So, Dr. Sachdev, any kind of growth that is happening in the healthcare industry is largely dependent on the government policies and the strategies that the government has. So, as a thought leader within the ophthalmology industry in India, are there any asks from the policymakers in the coming year?
Okay, so there are a couple of asks. The first thing is that healthcare has never been given the focus that it needed to be given. In fits and starts, there have been focus. It's more, I would say, see, why can't healthcare be given as infrastructure status? See, the point is that when you're looking at ophthalmology, we're talking about single specialties, and single specialties have come of age, and they do a great service. Whenever there is a talk about tax incentives or healthcare being infrastructure, etc., it is on the size of the hospital, number of beds, etc., that is there, which unfortunately is not the way healthcare is delivered in single specialties. Once you understand that there are 5, 6 single specialties also which are doing a great job that is there, there should be separate set of this thing. For example, we have been struggling, I would say, in the last 20 years to get the government of Delhi to have a separate daycare act. That means what provisions should a daycare institution have, what should it have when we are clubbed under a nursing home. So obviously, it's for a dentist or for an IVF or for an ophthalmology or a dialysis center, things are going to be different. You don't need ICU beds and you don't need sisters around the clock, etc. So the government has to be proactive vis-a-vis those things. Regarding the budget specifically coming back from an infrastructure, there should be separate. It should be you should get special incentives, or you should even get lower rates of interest for the procurement of loan, etc. The other problem that is there is that we are at zero GST. Unfortunately, our industry does not get any GST input credit, and the cost of the things are going up. Even the import duties have gone up. We still remember that a big boom came into microsurgery in ophthalmology when the then finance minister, under the scheme of eradication of blindness, declared duty exemption on sight-saving equipments. That no longer is duty exempt now, even for sight-saving equipments, which were at that particular time. This is way back, I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago, and that continued for some time, but slowly the duties, etc., import duties have come there. So I think there are other places where people can earn. Another thing that can the government do is maybe put a GST at 1%, 2%, 5%, and whatever we should be allowed to get a GST input credit on that. The loans should be given at a lower cost that is there. And one more thing is that CSR activities, right? It's not that every institution that is doing healthcare activity has an ATG certificate. So even healthcare, when people are putting into it, I think it should be considered under a CSR activity, and that can also draw funds, which is there. PPP, the government should announce public-private partnership that should really go up. These are a couple of the things that I feel will help spur the this thing, tax incentives in the sense a tax holiday if it can be given. So these are a couple of the things which can really take healthcare because COVID, one thing that it did good, I would say, is that it brought a focus onto healthcare or the and the other thing that is coming up apart from the healthcare is also the mental health. You can see that there are a lot of people who are facing challenges. Just other day, you can see up mobile TV stars committing suicide and those kind of things. So that also is a thing that one needs to look at. So well-being of an individual means well-being of a nation. If a person is similarly, I would say with ophthalmology, if you can't see anything, you can't deliver everything. There is a huge economic burden that is there. So that these are a couple of the things that we have been saying. GDP spend maybe make it to about 2.5% of the healthcare should be about GDP. So these are a couple of things which we have kept on saying every year, but really things take their own time to come.
Anything on the medical equipment, like what you mentioned was that what we are seeing today is, especially in ophthalmology, like you said, the barrier of entry has increased. Today, if somebody wants to set up a good quality center which is well equipped, it is about 12 to 14 crores of investment apart from the land and building. So in this case, and then there is a focus by the government on Make in India.
Yes.
So there's a very contradictory thing going in, because to give the impetus of Make in India, you have to increase the custom duties on the foreign goods. But for the expansion of the services in India, you are also dependent on foreign equipment coming in. So what is the industry expecting, keeping this in mind?
See, there are two things. One thing is that you call Make in India, but what are we doing as regards fundamental research? These are people throw up hypotheses, they work on it, they spend R&D funds, and then they develop things, whether it's the development of a molecule or whether it's a development of a technology, etc. I am personally involved in an FDA trial, and I know the amount of changes that are happening, the amount of money that is being spent, etc., etc. So you can come around and say that, okay, we can do Make in India, but you can make in India certain things. See, today, if we have a femto cataract or a femto LASIK or whatever it is, there is nobody who has the wherewithal to actually make that in India. At best, they could reassemble it, and that also is not being done. But within ophthalmology, I think the lot of medicines, lot of intraocular lenses, a lot of needles, sutures, etc., which we use much less now, basic slit lamp examination, those kind of things, they are coming and we are buying all Make in India. That's really not a problem. But the high-end technology, that is where the division comes, because high-end technology needs investment. High-end technology does not just need the putting up of tech lands and things like that, because they need investments from organizations to have large organizations to actually develop those technologies. Until the patents are with somebody else, people will not be able to build on the technology. So you have to kind of decipher the two things. I am 100% supportive of the Make in India things, but there are certain high-end equipment which is possibly not Make in India available, or it is not, we are not ready to do that. And that would need a lot of investment at the back end to make the decisions into R&D and then work on that. So I think both will go hand in hand. We are proud to say that maybe an intraocular lens can be produced at a PMMA lens, a non-foldable, at 150 rupees or something like that, which used to cost much more than that earlier in Indian circumstances. But the quality control has to be there. Often we are presently also facing some unfortunate little inflammations that we are getting. The quality control has to be very, very significant as regards Make in India. So that is something very, because anything goes wrong, it's the doctor who is always put to the gallows. even if the products are slightly substandard and things like that. So just to get the prices down, unfortunately, there is a one-way thought process of the government. They have introduced a bill to control the prices of medical services just now. It's not been there for maybe lawyers or maybe even I would say journalists or anybody like that. So the point is that why single out somebody? If there are people who are willing to pay a doctor for a particular service, then so be it. That's about it. But constant pressure downwards just because the government is not willing to spend or get the insurance to a level. Ayushman Bharat is a great thing, I would say. It is doing a lot of service, but then Ayushman Bharat is capping prices, which is not in the best interest. Yes, you have to cap prices. There is going to be always a struggle between the service provider and the this thing, but then there has to be this thing. We personally took a study. We hired one of the big fours to say as to what are the costs even in government hospitals for a particular surgery. And we gave it to the planning commission, we gave it to the Ayushman Bharat people, but unfortunately, instead of giving a better deal or a better price, they have kind of reduced the prices further. So it can't be a one-way street that you keep on reducing the prices. The prices what the TPAs are giving us 15 years ago, they are giving us the same. So there has to be some more investment that has to come into the industry. The government has to work on that. Make in India has to happen because that will keep the prices at a better level. But then it has to happen for things which they can do. Until, of course, we are able to get the really the top end equipment to come. None of the lasers are being manufactured in India. Can you beat it? There must be about 20 different lasers that are applied in eye care. On in the entire body, there must be. Majority of them are still imported. You have to get these incentive for people to make the high-end technology equipments that are there. And that is what you have to incentivize, and you have to say that this is the thing that needs to be done, which is there, because the numbers are small. See, that is the problem. It's not, you can get an Apple iPhone to be made in India because the numbers are huge. But when you are looking at these lasers, you can sell maybe 50 lasers or 100 lasers or 150 lasers. So therefore, the break even and all the costings are pretty high, and Indians do not wish to invest in that. So there has to be a separate import policy for them and a separate import policy, separate Make in India policy for things which are the basic ingredients for running eye care or healthcare.
Got it. Got it. Sir, my last question to you before I let you go is, we've spoken about the industry, but what is it that we can expect from Center for Sight in 2023? What are your expansion plans? Any new product segments and anything new that you are doing?
Okay, so basically, I think growth going on to, we do deeper and wider penetration. So wherever we are, we prefer to do that. I think within the next month, we'll be opening 4 new centers. So we're looking at about 15 new centers every year, almost equally divided between organic and inorganic. And obviously, technology, wherever is required in upgradation of the technology, that is what we are looking at. Overall, Center for Sight is one of the largest players in ophthalmology in India. And we would always want to, that's our motto, every eye deserves the best. So we would wish to, irrespective of the place where we are or the patient's affordability to a large extent, we would wish to give the best of eye care that is there. Definitely, we've the couple of states up north and far east which are left, and Chhattisgarh is the only one where we'll wish to grow and expand. Maybe possibly in due course of time, we've set up a quaternary, I would say, center which has DNB fellowships, which have research development, which has the clinical in Dwarka, which is 90,000 square feet facility. My thought process is to set up one in each region because we have seen that really function very, very well, and the numbers of the patients who can benefit from there at a level where you can cater to also people who pay less, as also people who want the premium procedures, they can all be handled at the same time. So that's what Center for Sight is looking at, and maybe getting the growth momentum both from the acquisitions as also from greenfield new centers.
Got it. Dr. Sachdev, thank you so much for your time. And we wish you and Center for Sight the best for 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.